Hey guys, Brandon Podell here from Coder Fairy. Today, I'm going to show you how to go and use ChatGPT to create many different Python applications quickly. So the first step that I might do is ask ChatGPT to create different ideas that we might want applications for. So let's start off by asking ChatGPT, create 50 ideas for Python scripts to create useful applications. If we just ask ChatGPT for this, it might give some good ones, it might give a lot of bad ones, but we could sort of steer it in the right direction by giving it examples of a couple applications that we're looking for. If we want these applications to be like a full form that people can use, we'll have to type something like for example. And now I'm going to think of one example. How about we create an image converter? So I'll type create an image converter using a tkinder form that converts images from JPEG to from PNG to from all other formats. And we actually don't need to give it instructions here. So for example, image converter using tkinder form that converts images from JPEG to from PNG to from all other formats. And now we can give it 1, we could give it 3, we could give it 10. The more examples that we give it, the better our responses will be. So let's go ahead with audio converter. Audio converter using a tkinder form that converts audio files from MP3 to from WAV to from all other formats. And now let's switch up the style a bit. How about we ask it to do some sort of speech conversion and then send the audio file through an email. So we'll type in text to speech application using a tkinder form that converts text to speech and then sends an email with the audio file attachment. That's actually pretty cool. So you don't have to type and then they get an audio message. And for the next one, we'll just type in web scraper. And for this one, I don't know if it would be capable of creating a script like this, but let's give it a shot. How about we ask it to create a bulk file zipper and unzipper? And I'll just put in parentheses, file compression. That would be a useful tool if we were able to quickly zip or unzip files, sort of like WinZip or WinRAR, but if we could build that into some of our other applications so we don't actually have to go and open up external applications. Okay, so let's go and click send message. And here it's giving us 50 different ideas. And I'm just going to copy these to a list. And if we want more, we could just say provide an additional 50 items, and it's going to give us 50 more. And I'll copy these items as well. Now I might just go down the list and just take a look and see which ones might be useful and which ones might not be. I often see people asking for PDF scripts, so we could add that one. There's a lot of note-taking apps already, such as the one that I'm using now, Notepad, or I really like this other app for note-taking, or you have Word. But it might be cool. Maybe certain developers might want to go and add in note-taking capabilities within their existing app. Maybe a file organizer of some sort. I like this idea of a file renaming tool. So you could rename files in bulk or batches. There's other really good applications out there that do that, but they cost a bit of money. So it might be pretty cool if you can go and rename all of your files in bulk with your own application. And we'll just look for one more. How about this BMI calculator? And we have tons more, but let's stick to these 5. I actually have other prompts that I already prepared, but I wanted to show you with these 5 how I might go about making them and how quick it is. So first, let's take a look at one of these that I created. So this is the entire ChatGPT prompt. And here I said, write a Python script that converts text to speech using a tkinder form at a text box so the user can type in text at an import text file button. So notice how I'm typing quotes around the name of the button. And if you want to get even more technical, you could remove the spaces or add underscores. But ChatGPT is smart enough to know that this is going to be the name of the button. So you could reference this name later. So add an import text file button that allows the user to browse for a text file and select it, which then sets the import text file equal to the selected .text file content. Now add another button called play that converts text in that import text file text box to an audio file, and then it's going to play the audio back. Now I'm asking it to add another button called save audio and then convert that text in the import text file text box to an audio file, and then that goes and saves the audio file to the user's computer in an audio folder. And then I'm also asking ChatGPT to create this audio folder if it doesn't already exist. That way it won't throw an error if the audio folder does not exist. And I'm assuming that it's going to create the audio folder probably in the same path as wherever the script is saved to. So I'm basically just painting a picture of how I want the form to be, and I'm just describing how the program should function and what it should do. Now, typing all of this just took about 6 or 7 minutes, and I just gave it some basic instructions on how to go and create that application. So now let's do the same thing for the 5 ones below. So first up, we have PDF merger and splitter for combining or splitting PDF files. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just copy this, write a Python script that creates a PDF merger and splitter for combining or splitting PDF files. Maybe I'll give it some more instruction, because if you don't, it's only going to give you just a script, and then the user is going to have to edit that Python code. But if we want to go and create these applications for a user who's non-technical and doesn't want to go and edit or doesn't know how to edit Python code, then we need to tell it to create a form. So to do that, we could just say using a tkinder form, and then it's going to create a user interface. Now we want to specify any text boxes, buttons, sliders, any controls on the form. A lot of times ChatGPT will fill in all of these buttons or objects itself. But if we specify it, then it will make it exactly how we ask it, and it'll be a little more exact and to the standard that we want. So I'm going to keep this a little simpler, and I'm going to get rid of the splitter. I found that it's much better to go and keep the first application simple, make sure that ChatGPT creates it, and that the script works, and that the user interface is how you want it. And then once that works, then you could go and ask ChatGPT to expand on the script and add an additional feature. So in this case, we might ask it to create a PDF merger. We get the script, we test it, it works. And then we'll go back to ChatGPT, and then we could go and paste in our script and say, please update this script, and now add an option to split this PDF into 2. If we asked it now to create a PDF merger and a PDF splitter all in one application, it might do it. It probably will, but there's a chance that it might be too much information for it and too long of a script that it might mess up. So it might be faster to split it up into 2 parts. What I'm also interested in is if it can convert text to a PDF. So that would be pretty cool. So how about we tell it to write a Python script that 1, converts text to a PDF file, and 2, merges multiple PDF files into one PDF file. Okay, so now I'm going to say, using a tkinder form, add a browse PDF button that allows the user to select one or more PDF files. Store the location of each PDF file in a list. And we could even give that list a name if we want. If not, ChatGPT will automatically do that. Let's call it the PDF list. Display the PDF list on a label and update this list each time a new PDF is selected from the Browse PDF button, or I should say selected using. Actually, I don't want it to be a label. I want it to be a list box. And then we could say if in a list box, and then we'll say in a list control. Now, if the user selects an item in the list control and pushes the delete key, then it deletes that item from both the list control and the PDF list. So this allows a little feature where the user can now not only browse and add additional PDF files, but now they can delete the PDF files as well. Now I'm going to say add another button named merge PDF that merges all PDF files into one PDF file within the PDF list. And let's specify for step 2 is where it merges multiple PDF files. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier, where we might want to break this up into 2 separate ChatGPT prompts, but let's give it a shot anyway. Here, let's try to convert text to a PDF file. So we'll say, for step 1, using a tkinder form, and I guess I'll change this also. So back to step 1, using a tkinder form, add a text box that allows the user to type text. Then add a button, text to PDF, that converts the text within this text box. Now notice here, I didn't specify the name of the text box. I could to make it easier for ChatGPT to pick up, but you don't necessarily need to, especially if there's only one text box that it references so far. But if I were to do it the best way, I probably would give every single object a name. So let's do that. I'll just call it text to convert text box. That's a horrible name, but it works. And then I'll say within this text to convert text box. That way, since it has a name, it's not going to get confused with the objects below, even though that's the only text box that we have, to a PDF file, and saves the PDF file to a folder named text to PDF. Create the text to PDF folder if it does not already exist. And then we could also specify for step 2, and then save this PDF file to merged PDF files to the folder. Create this merged PDF files folder if it doesn't already exist. Okay, so that should work. It's a little lengthy, so it might not complete the full script, but we'll see when we get there. So for this next one, note-taking app with text formatting and organization features, I'll say write a Python script that creates and I guess we could just copy and paste this for all of them. And I'm not going to spend as much time as I did on this first one. Let's just quickly create some applications for the next 4, and we could leave it to ChatGPT to figure out what it needs to do. If we want any main features, then we can add them here. If we don't, then ChatGPT will fill in the blanks. But I'm going to say create a tkinder form. And I'll paste that down for all of them. Let's see if we want to refine anything. So if we have a note-taking app with text formatting and organization features. So I love this Obsidian note-taking application. It's by far my favorite one. It has different folders that you can go and add and organize all of your different notes to. You can add titles. So we could type ChatGPT Python ideas. I'll just go and paste all of our ideas that we were working on. You could add bold. You could add italics. You can export it to a PDF. You could paste images. But one thing that I don't like is that you can't change the font color. So I think that feature would be extremely important if we could format the text a little bit better, a little bit more like Word. So let's go and add a feature here that says, add a feature that allows the user to change the font color of text. And we'll just keep it at that and see what it comes up with the organization features. So next up, create a Python script that creates a file organizer that sorts files into folders based on file type or date. I'll just say allow the user to select the main folder. Next up, we have create a file renaming tool for batch renaming files based on a specified pattern. Let's also see what it first comes up with. We could always modify it later, but I think that's enough information to give it. Creates a BMI calculator to calculate body mass. That's plenty of information to give it. That's pretty simple. So now that we have our ChatGPT prompts to create all of our applications, let's begin to type these into ChatGPT. So I'll click on a new chat. Now we could use ChatGPT 3.5 and it'll go a little bit faster, well, a lot faster, or we could use ChatGPT 4, which is a little bit more creative. ChatGPT 4 might be a little better for this, but I think that ChatGPT 3.5 is still really good at creating Python scripts. And we don't really need any of the creativity from ChatGPT 4. So I would actually prefer to use ChatGPT 3.5 because it's a lot faster. And I also wanted to show you how to use ChatGPT 3.5 so you don't need a subscription to ChatGPT 4. So you could use the free model 3.5. So I'm just going to type in the first one. And let's speed this up a bit. I'll put the windows side by side. So it's pretty fast at generating this code using 3.5. ChatGPT 4 would have took a lot longer, but it's still really fast. So this next one is our main test one, where we specified 2 different things for the application to do. We might have to break it down into multiple ChatGPT prompts. Look, it's like thinking. It's like, what do I do? So while all these other applications might just be okay, this application, if it does create it correctly, will be a little bit better than the others, possibly. Basically, by typing all these instructions out, you mold the application to exactly how you want it. So while all these other applications where we didn't specify so many details, the way that the application functions might be a little bit random, where this application, where we typed in all the details, it might be a lot more exact, and we might actually get exactly what we want. So that's the last one. Now I'm just going to go up to the top and copy these scripts one by one. And we'll put Visual Studio Code on the right and ChatGPT on the left. And let's select a folder. We'll choose this Python folder and click on Trust. Now we can minimize this to get a little bit more room. And then I'll click on New File. Text file is fine. And I'll paste in the first script. And I'll hit Control N to create a new text file and copy the next script and then paste. And I'll just repeat the process for all of our scripts. Okay, now we have all of our scripts, and I'll just go ahead and save this script. We'll call it analogclock.py, and I'm just going to briefly take a look at the code before I run anything. I want to make sure it's not damaging my computer, it's not a virus or anything. There were cases where ChatGPT would go and get code from other websites that were viruses, where the other people knew about ChatGPT and they were trying to spread this with the virus. I don't really think that would happen often. I generated hundreds of scripts with ChatGPT before, if not thousands, and I never came across any destructive script before. But that doesn't mean that it won't happen in the future. So this looks good. It's doing something with the canvas. So we'll choose Python file, and there we have an analog clock. And I ran it again and it looks like it did change, but I want it to change a little bit. So I'm going to copy this code and go back to ChatGPT, and I'm going to paste this script and say, modify this script below so it updates the image of the clock after each second. That way we can get the clock to move. And if we ask ChatGPT again for the first time in a new chat, it might actually create a clock in the first script that moves. So sometimes you get different results. So I'll just delete all this script, give it a quick check, and then run it again. And there you go. Now the clock is ticking. Pretty cool. So this next script looks like an image scraper. So let's run the code. So here it's scraping the URL of example.com for images, but let's say that I want a user form. Oh, and see here, I didn't specify to add a tkinder form, so it didn't add a user form. Okay, so it actually did what we asked it to do. So let's keep this. Let's see what it does. I'll just go to Google and I'll type in images. And I don't know, I'll just click on freeimages.com. And let's see, it lets you save the images. So let's just paste this in, and it looks like it's creating a folder called images. So let's paste it and see what it does. Wow, cool. So it's telling us what images it's downloading. So it's all types of different file types. So that downloaded a lot of images. Now I just refresh this. Wow, I just downloaded all of these images. How cool is that? And let's open up one. Wow, that's tiny. So in total, we have a little less than 2 megabytes. So it's all little thumbnails, different formats, SVG, JPEG, WebP, and it looks like it downloaded all of these images. Perfect. Good job, ChatGPT. Our next script is supposed to create a sine graph, and we didn't ask it to have it form. So let's run it and see what it does. So it's not a tkinder form, but it made a sine graph appear using probably matlib.pyplot. This next script is text to speech, and let's run this and see what it does. Oh, how cool. So it created our text box where we could type stuff. It allows us to import a text file, play the audio back, and then save the audio file. So let's give this a test. We'll import a text file, and I'll just find a text file on my computer. So this is just instructions on how to create coloring books. I'll click on play, and then it looks like it's loading. Okay, so it gave us an error. So what I'm going to do is go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to paste in the error, and then I'm going to copy the code. I'll type error. You actually don't even need to say anything. If you hit enter or click send, it'll fix it. But I'll just say, please fix the error for the script below. We could edit it ourselves, but it's very quick for ChatGPT to correct errors. And let's give it another shot. So at least it imports it correctly.
Create 25 sets of images for children's coloring books using Midjourney's AI software and save images to Google Drive folder. You can also use ChatGPT to speed up the process of creating Midjourney image prompts.
Let's stop this. Oh, it just crashed. First time I had any crash with any script in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so let's run it again. This time I'm going to test out trying to save the file. So instead of clicking play, I'll click on save audio, and it looks like it created an audio folder for us with an MP3 called output, and I'll play that.
Create 25 image prompts, which is an optional step.
Awesome. Now we have a random password generator. Let's run the script. Here it says password length. Let's make it 15. And let's say I want to include everything, generate password. So it's exactly 15. It has symbols, uppercase, lowercase. I see some numbers in there. Let's make it 30, and let's just keep it at uppercase characters. Okay, so it seems to be working. Just symbols. Oops, I clicked copy. Generate password. Okay, so I'll copy this, and I paste it. So it looks like it worked. Awesome. Next up, we have our Grayscale converter. I'll run this. I'll click on browse, and let's try to find an image. Images sample. Let's see what that is. Let's choose this image here. Oh, look how cool that is. So it glitched out when I maximized it, but if you keep it this size, it works. Let's try to maximize it and then click browse and see what it does. So it still keeps it a little small. And I believe it was supposed to automatically save the Grayscale image in a folder. Let's take a look and see if it did that. So there, it did create the images folder. Oh, that was from a previous project. Oh, here, it created Grayscale. So it looks like it worked. I'm going to check the properties and make sure that the resolution is still the same. It's 1024 by 1024 pixels. And if we take a look at it full size, yeah, it did the job. Pretty cool. I'm going to ask ChatGPT for a modification. So I'll copy the script and I'll paste the script below. And I'll say, when the tkinder form is maximized, the images appear on the far left and far right of the screen, and they're very small. Please make these images larger and make the form responsive so both images fit the full-sized form. Let's see if it's smart enough to make the images responsive. And we'll replace the script. Let's try it again. We'll click Browse. I'll select this image. So now they're very tiny. Now they're even smaller. Let's select another image. There. Okay, so it did it. You just have to make sure that the screen's maximized or to the size that you want it, and then it works. But then if you resize it, it doesn't do anything because it's not updating this in real time for each frame. You need to click the Browse button and select a file to do it. Pretty cool. I'm going to check the folder, and it exported all of the Grayscale images. Now I'm going to ask it to do one more thing. So we got our base script, our application works, but now I want to add additional features. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to add a button that allows the user to select a folder and then convert all images within that folder to Grayscale and save the images to the Grayscale folder. Add a date and timestamp to the end of each file name. So the reason why I asked it to do that is because we just generated like 5 or so Grayscale images. So if it runs again, it's going to run into an issue where you can't have 2 of the same files with the same file name. Okay, we have our updated code. Let's give it a test run. Browse image, browse folder. Awesome. So I'm going to test to make sure that the browse image still works. It looks like it's good. Browse folder. Let's pick a different. Let's do world within a world. So A, let's do whatever's in folder A. So it's converting it. We can even make this a million times faster by using multiprocessing. So instead of creating one image at a time, it will create all of the images at the same time. It'll basically run the application like 10 times in a row, or it'll go and run it one time for each image. So now it looks like it created Grayscale images for all of those files. But now we can't see in the application what the images are. We have to go to this folder. So let's say that we wanted to add another feature to this. Let's try to get it to do that. So now I'm going to ask ChatGPT, add another feature that lets the user view one image at a time from the Grayscale folder. When the form loads, display the first image in this folder. Add a button that displays the previous image in this folder, and add another button that displays the next image in this folder. And I'm also going to tell it to check to see if at least one image exists in this folder. If there is at least one image, then, and I'm just going to move this up. So basically, don't cause the application to crash and have an error if there are not any images to load. But if there's at least one image to load, then load it. So let's see what this gives us. And just like this, we could continue to add on feature after feature and building the application up to become a much larger application. So the next feature, it might be like to add a text box so the user can go and type a custom path on their computer. Okay, so this happens when the application gets too long, ChatGPT stops. So you have to click on continue generating. And if it doesn't, then just type the word continue and then hit enter and it'll finish up its script. Now we have the full application. So I'll maximize it first. I'll click on browse folder. Let's choose a different image set. Oh, I guess I didn't specify which folder to go and use. So what's happening now? It's like frozen. Let's go to our Grayscale image folder. Let's select this folder and see what it does. So it loaded the first image. I'll click on next. So it seems to be working only with one image. So this is where it might be quicker to manually edit the code, but let's see if ChatGPT can fix it. So I will say there's an issue with the script that you provided. It correctly loads the first image when the browse button is clicked. It also correctly displays the second image when the next button is clicked. However, clicking either the next or previous buttons after the second image doesn't do anything. Please fix this script so additional images can be viewed. So I don't think it's going to fix it. Eventually you can get it to correct itself. But at this point, I think it would be a lot quicker just to manually edit the script. It's probably just one simple line of code that it messed up on. and it didn't finish, but it finished our script, so we're good. I'll copy this new script again, and let's just delete that and paste in the new one, and we'll give this a shot. Yeah, so that didn't fix it, and it actually removed our feature before, where it's supposed to convert all of the images in that folder. So I just pasted in that error so it knows what to fix. And I might go back and ask it to add back that button where it converted all of the images within the one folder to grayscale instead of replacing the functionality of this button. So let's just see what it's doing in line 80. Display next image if images and current image index is less than the length of images -1. So I'm just curious what's in images, what's len of images. Is this like 0, -1? So let's just print len of images, and I'm guessing that this is out of range. We could also print out current image index, and we probably need to wrap this around a string to convert it. Let's run that, try to debug it. In my first line of code, I have an error. So it's going to error out, and I'll just click next. So the length is 20. I don't see where it's printing out the current image index. So I think that's what the error is. Let's go and run this, and I'll bet you that the variable is a null. I'll select the folder, click on next. Okay, we got the error. So that's what it's saying. Local variable current image index is referenced before assignment. So this doesn't equal anything. It's unbound. It's null. So I'm just going to go up to here, and here it says it's 0 in the browse folder. So it's being set in a different function, and it's global. So I'm just going to tell ChatGPT current image index is not being set properly in the display next image function. Current image index is being set to 0 in a different function, and it is global, but the variable isn't set to 0 in the display next image function. Please check the variable and the global settings. So we could just fix this ourselves and just add the variable up at the top. Let's see how it does it. Yeah, see there. And we'll browse. We have our image, still the same thing. So let's take a look at line 82 and see what's in the current image index. So here it says that it's unbound when we click on the next image button. Here it is again. It's also unbound when we click on the previous image button. This is where it gets initialized, where it sets it to 0. So it is detecting that it's 0 in here as well as down here. So it's in this function. It's working. So sometimes ChatGPT just can't get it right, even though it's something very simple. I'm going to copy this so it sets the variable to global, and I'm just going to manually edit the script and just paste it in these two functions. And then I'll click on restart. Let's try it again. Let's click on the browse folder, select the folder. Okay, we have the grayscale image. Click next, next. Okay, so that seems to be working perfectly. Let's click previous. Awesome, that works. Now what I want to do is add this button back. So when we ask ChatGPT to browse through our images, it got rid of the functionality of browsing through a folder and converting all of the images to grayscale. So because I modified the script, the first thing that I'm going to do is paste in the new script to ChatGPT. That way it doesn't keep editing the incorrect script. And the first thing that I'll say is, I edited the script below and fixed it. You removed the functionality of converting all images within a folder to grayscale. Please add a third button that allows the user to browse and select a folder and then converts all images to grayscale and saves them in our grayscale folder. Add a date and time stamp to the end of each file name. And let's see if we can get it to add back that feature. So if we were to ask ChatGPT to create all of these features in our initial prompt all the way at the top, it would have simply just said something like, these are too many features, I can't do it. And it might just give you a script that does something similar. Or it might give you a script and it might complete some of the features, but not all of them. But I don't think it would be able to create all of these features on its first try. So this method of feeding it one additional feature at a time is a way to build a very, very long and functional script. Let's give this a shot. Nice, we have 3 buttons now. Let's check out some digital art images of cats, and let's convert them to grayscale. So here it's not telling us what images are being created. You would have to go back to Python to do that. Looks like it's done, converted quite a bit. Now this time I'm not even going to go to the folder using File Explorer. Let's use this new feature, Browse Folder, and let's select our grayscale folder. And let's see if we can get those grayscale images of the cats to pop up. Look, we did it. Oh, and that was cool. The previous button's even grayed out. It's disabled, so you can't cause an error. So another feature would be if you click this, you could tell it to go to the last image. Haha, look at these cats. And then if we keep going over, we should have our original images as well. I just want to test out the functionality of this button. I want to see if ChatGPT is smart enough to disable it when it gets to the very last image. Okay, we have a lot of images of cats. Okay, so it did disable it. Pretty cool. And let's just see if the first functionality works again. So here you can see in the middle, we have some of our original images, and it looks like it sorted it by the name, which is why we had a cat at the beginning, a cat at the end, and then some of our other matrix world in a world images within the middle. So let's just choose this coffee cup that we downloaded from our web scraper. So what happened, it gave us a small image again. Oh, that's because the resolution of this is a thumbnail. It's very small. So let's see if we choose this ice cube within an ice cube. Okay, it converted it. Nice. And it's large. So it's a full 1080 image. So this seems to be working perfectly. Let's move on to our next script. Here we have a basic Fibonacci script. It just prints out all the Fibonacci numbers. So there you go. I don't know much about it, but I guess that 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and so on are Fibonacci numbers. Simple enough.
Coder Fairy.
Coder Fairy. CoderFairy.com. Automate it with AI.